The film is called All the Time in the World, and my role was the editor. The film is about a daughter who leaves their elderly dad in a care home against his will. He seems lonely and depressed, but events quickly change. She soon finds out that after being left in the care home for some time, he decides to take up painting and ends up painting a masterpiece. The main restriction we had was that we had several care homes turn us down, until we managed to find one in Chislehurst called Fallowfield that let us use their home as a location. Our original idea was to show a relationship between a mother and a younger daughter who suffered from a terminal disease. Not having long left to live, she decides to take up some activities like painting or drawing to make her feel like she has all the time in the world, forgetting about her time limit in life. From debating this idea, we found out that the concept of having all the time in the world would be more suitable if the main character was older, and from then, the current narrative developed. The film focuses on how difficult it is for elderly people to find fulfillment in society. It would resonate more in countries where people are more likely to use care homes. For example, in Asia and Latin America, family members usually look after their elderly relatives, so they might not be able to sympathize as well with the narrative. I feel that our film relates a lot to the modern 3-act structure, as you start with the problem, disequilibrium, i.e. the main character being unhappy, which then sets us up for the second and third act. In the second act, we see how he transforms himself from being an unhappy and detached old man to eventually finding something he enjoys and connects with. We were able to show that through engaging with the painting, he found fulfillment and happiness. For me, the climax of the film would be when he decides to look through the items in the box to try and find something different to do. That represents a change, a moment when he's willing to allow something new into his life. As an editor, it was my job to assemble the footage in a way that not only told the story, but also in a way that made it creative. One example was the TV scene. We could tell that before then he had been annoyed at his daughter for leaving him in the care home. I also sourced the soundtrack, which was one of the main elements that helped show the transformation in the main character's emotions. The music played an important part in the film, as we wanted a track that was upbeat, helping keep the tempo of the painting scene. I used a variety of different editing techniques to improve the story, such as match on action during the TV scene, a variety of close-up shots, and various different cuts in the painting scene to hide the artwork from the viewers until his daughter sees it. We also used a POV shot from the painting scene, so you see him and his daughter's reaction to the finished product, which shows the change in his emotions. The TV scene and the painting scene went quite well in particular. The reason I felt the TV scene went well was because we were able to capture his boredom as he feels he doesn't have anything left to do. On the other hand, I quite enjoyed the painting scene, as this was a transformative scene to me. A scene where he's in the middle of changing his emotions when he stumbles upon some paints and decides to give it a go. I feel that the opening scene didn't go as well as I would have liked, as there were some continuity problems which caused the editing to be a bit too fast paced. It was hard to find different shots to cut to, as the nurse's arms were in different positions. I feel very positive towards the film as a whole. As always, there were things that could have been done better and improved upon, but nevertheless, I was still happy with the final product. The choice of music could have been better, and I would also have reintroduced the clock ticking effects that we had in the original edit. These effects represented the passing of time and were included twice in the film, the last one fading into the upbeat music during the painting scene to show that at that point he had found a new concept of time. I found the music going throughout the whole film in the final version very jarring. I feel that my storytelling abilities have improved in the sense that as an editor, it's my job to review each shot and find places that were suitable to cut from shot to shot. And when I choose shots such as the close-up shot on his face after his daughter leaves him there, it really got me thinking about the effect I was trying to portray and how this was helping the story. I think the film as a whole was good, but we could have done a lot more to further emphasize the main message in the film, with re-adding effects such as the clock ticking or saving the music for the painting scene only. The film was called They're Watching, and my role on the film was being the producer. The story is about a girl who is on Facebook when she gets a friend request from an anonymous person named Glitchman, who then sends her a link to a virus on her computer, and she soon finds out he's been watching her until he takes her eyes. The main restriction was that we were shooting the film during nighttime, so even though we had lights with us, they weren't as effective as we thought they would be. In order to capture the light for the shot from the exterior, we had to use the indoor bedroom light, which caused us to fall into the trap of having yellow lighting and grainy footage as a result of a high ISO. During the last scene, our light ran out of battery entirely when filming the last two shots, so we had to use our phone lights to make up for the light that we lost. The film is based on one of the episodes from the Black Mirror series titled Shut Up and Dance. We really took inspiration from this episode, as it had a similar concept where somebody was being watched through his camera after having downloaded a free copy of a PC cleaner, Trojan Horse, in a similar way to our film. As a producer, I had to do most of the film planning beforehand and deal with various issues connected with the locations and actors. I had to make sure that I chose the right actors to play the right characters in the film. This was really important to the narrative because I wanted to make sure that they could portray the right emotions that we wanted to get across, especially how scared and confused the main characters became. For me, the highlights of the film were more on the post-production side of the process. I think the introduction to the movie through the drawing of an eye was a good use of post-production skills, and I also think the glitch effect used when we see Glitchman worked well also. The music was also effective in enhancing the film even if there wasn't much of a story to follow. I feel that compared to the other films I've made throughout my time at Ravensbourne, this film could have been a lot better. Not just visually, but also in terms of storytelling. One of the main issues I found with the film was that the story was confusing and didn't offer much of a plot to follow. You could see this through the transition from the bedroom scene to the outdoor running scene. The transition in particular felt very sudden and too confusing. Another key point that we didn't manage to get across properly was who Glitchman was, and even though we had such a short period of time, up to 5 minutes to shoot, we could have made it slightly longer than the original 2 minutes and used more time to allow us to develop the situation and get the audience to understand who Glitchman was. Overall, I think that the post-production aspects of the film went well. The VFX and the music in particular were creative ways to make the film interesting and worked well, but I still think that there wasn't enough story development for the audience to understand what was properly going on. I can say this film was definitely a learning curve for me. It wasn't my best work, but it certainly allowed me to reflect back and see how I can progress in the future as a filmmaker. I wouldn't say that my storytelling has improved through this film, but I'm definitely able to think of the things that could be done better next time to avoid the same mistake. I think the film was good in terms of post-production, but we could have done a lot more in the pre-production to develop the story and maybe shoot more scenes to have a slightly longer running time. This would have allowed us to properly develop the antagonist to give the audience more information as to why he was spying on the Scar.